APR plus up to $6,000 finance cash. Toyota, let's go places. Offer available through TFS to buyers with premium rated credit. Cannot be combined with other offers. Finance cash must be applied to transaction. $6,000 finance cash only available on XLE all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive models. Ends 3/31/26.
San Francisco is on the rebound, and PG&E is helping keep that momentum going. From Mission Bay to Chase Center, we know every assist matters. We're working every day to improve reliability and support the customers who count on us. We're also lowering costs. Residential electric rates have dropped 5 times since 2024. PG&E is committed to making the right plays for this city. PG&E and San Francisco, moving forward together.
No matter what you're eating during today's Warriors game, sharing a jar of Mazzetta makes it better. Just pop open that red cap to give your favorite snacks something extra, like crunchy jalapenos on nachos or zesty peppercini on sandwiches and sliders. It's just better. Mazzetta is a family-owned Bay Area company providing peppers, olives, pickled vegetables, and sauces since 1935. At Mazzetta, we say that when you share your food, you share a part of who you are. So grab your family and friends and share some unforgettable flavors with Mazzetta.
Say you're a coach in Chase Center and need to draw up a last-second play. Or you're a fan in Section 212 craving nachos. AI from Google Cloud can help with both. The Warriors are using AI from Google Cloud to break down every move on the court, helping coaches game plan. And for fans, the same AI powers the mobile app, giving you personalized content, highlights, and yes, nachos ordered from your phone. With AI, you're always in the game, even off the court. Google Cloud, the official AI partner of the Golden State Warriors.
What's up, Dub Nation? Do you want to get cash back on Warriors gear? All you have to do is sign up at Rakuten.com/Warriors, where you can earn 10% cash back in store and online at Warriors Shop. Once you're a member, shop your favorite stores like Fanatics and Ticketmaster and watch the cash back add up in your account. Rakuten is the most rewarding way for you to shop and maximize your savings. Join Rakuten for free today at Rakuten.com/Warriors or download the Rakuten app. That's RAKUTEN.
Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
The lights, the crowd, the moment. When the Warriors take the floor, greatness follows. At Cash Creek Casino Resort, every moment shines. Feel the rush as the reels spin. Breathe in our serene spa. Savor each bite in our award-winning steakhouse. And recharge in the comfort of our luxurious hotel. Cash Creek Casino Resort, proud partner of your Golden State Warriors. Please play responsibly.
Curry, pump fake, flyby, 3-ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-WHO.
Don't you wish you were here?
This Odyssey Sports broadcast has been brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
Shot clock turned off. All they have to do is get it across midcourt, and that will be that. Well, the Warriors are swept by the Celtics this year, but more importantly, Golden State could lose some ground as both Portland and the LA Clippers are winning. Crowd comes to their feet. Rather polite round of applause tonight. The final score will be Boston 120 at Golden State 99.
Welcome in. It's Warriors wrap-up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you as we react to a Warrior loss in Boston. 120-99, the final, as you heard Tim Roy say. And tonight has the possibility of being a really rough night in the Western Conference standings for the Warriors because what You just heard Tim Roy say. Now, he did say the Blazers and the Clippers were winning. The Blazers are about to win. They lead by 7 in the final minute in Indiana against the Pacers. The Clippers, however, surprisingly, in New Orleans, are losing by 12 points early in the fourth quarter. That game, in all likelihood, will end. At the very least, regulation will end while we're on the air here on 95.7 The Game on Warriors Wrap-Up. So I'll give you the final update on that game before the night is over. But the Blazer game is the more important one for the Warriors' purposes, in my opinion. A Blazer win, which looks like they are about to officially get, would push them ahead of the Warriors when combined with the Warriors' loss today. So we'll talk a whole lot more about what that means in the Western Conference standings. It does mean if the Blazers win, the Warriors are the 10 seed as their heads hit the pillow tonight. So we'll talk more about that as we continue on Warriors Wrap-Up. Again, welcome in. Mark Randy with you. Dubs fall to the Celtics in Boston. Final score 120-99. In terms of what happened on the basketball court tonight, it was pretty simple. Boston just outclassed the Warriors. There were moments where it was competitive, and there were moments where you're thinking, oh, the Warriors might be able to sneak something out here. They got within 7 early in the third quarter. They had a bit of a run to close the first half after they trailed by as many as 20. But immediately after a Warrior run, they pushed the lead right back up to 21, the Celtics did, and then they kind of just cruised the rest of the way. They got off to a great start with Jaylen Brown. He scored 32 points in this game. 19 of them came in the first quarter. He almost outscored the Warrior team himself in the first quarter. He had 19 in the first. The Warriors had 23 as a team. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Tatum back after the Achilles tear. Only took him 10 months to return, which is just absurd. Those two combined for 56 points. They outscored the entire Warriors starting 5 between just the two of them. And it was just that kind of game. The Warriors could not buy a shot. They shot 40% from the field, 23% from downtown. They went right back to their normal offensive strategy of shooting as many threes as possible. Did not work out for them tonight. They ended up only getting 43 up, but that kind of changed late in the game. They were on pace to shoot a bunch of threes. They shot so many threes early in the first quarter. They attempted 17 threes in the first quarter, which is on pace for 64 over the course of an entire game. They didn't quite stay on that pace, but the threes weren't falling early either. 5 of 17 from downtown in the first quarter. They got down by 13 after 1. And again, once you get down by that much against a really good team, you're probably going to fight back at certain moments, but it takes so much energy to get back within shouting distance that once you get back, maybe you don't have enough left in the tank to get all the way back. And the Celtics are a team that, not that they took moments off or took plays off or took stretches off, but they kind of have the ability to say, oh, Warriors back within 7. All right, let's get the ball to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum again. Peyton Pritchard get involved a little bit off the bench, and we'll get this lead right back up to 20. This is not a result one way or another where you say, oh my God, the Warriors are a terrible basketball team. This is just pretty simple. The Warriors that were playing out there tonight, they're just outclassed by this Boston Celtics team. And it's not an embarrassing thing to admit. It's just the reality of where this Warrior team is right now. Boston is a really, really good team. Frankly, one of the more surprising teams of the season. Not that you didn't expect them to be good or competitive. I just didn't expect them to be this good, given that Jason Tatum was expected to be out for probably the entire season. But even if he were to come back at the end of the regular season, I wasn't sure how good they were going to be without him. You also combine what they did in this offseason, which was get rid of Drew Holiday and get rid of Kristaps Porzingis and move on from Al Horford. And they're still sitting there right now as the second seed in the Eastern Conference. And with Tatum back, they're probably most people's picks to win the Eastern Conference with this new and improved Jaylen Brown, who looks like a legitimate MVP candidate in the entire league. So this is a really, really good Boston team. The Warriors trotting into the TD Garden, down Steph, down Jimmy, down Al, down Moses, down a few others as well. No Seth Curry, no LJ Cryer, if that makes a difference to you. This is not a surprising result, and it shouldn't really, I don't think, change the way you feel about this Warrior team. It was very difficult to find a way for the Warriors to win this basketball game. I'll put it that way. Now, there are some performances when you look at an individual basis that you're not terribly encouraged by, and that's absolutely fair, and we'll get to some of that here in just a sec. I do want to remind you that you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, an Odyssey sports station, and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries, always live on the free Odyssey app, coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. If you want to weigh in, give me a call, shoot me a text, 888-957-9570. Again, that's 888-957-9570. That's both the number to call. It is also the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. I see some texts flowing in right now. The 925 says, yes, Warriors simply outclassed by the Celtics. The 262 chiming in as well. 916 and the 408 all chiming in on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. Meanwhile, the YouTube chat is open for you as well. YouTube.com/957 The Game to join the conversation. I see you, Daniel. I see you, Empire. I see you, AB. I see you, No. I see you, GG. I see you, Wayne. I see you, Green-Eyed Rabbit. I see you, Muhammad, and Jazz, Lear, a few others. Keep the comments coming on the YouTube chat as always. YouTube.com/957 The Game. And by the way, before we dive further into what happened in this Warrior game tonight, we do, I believe, have a final in Indiana. Yes, we do. The Blazers knock off the Pacers in Indiana, 127-119. The Blazers beat Indiana, led by Donovan Clingan's 28 points and 13 rebounds, their young big man out of UConn. For the Blazers, 127-119 is the final score, which means officially, even if your standings haven't updated on your phone or on your laptop or wherever you're seeing it, the Warriors are the 10 seed in the Western Conference. The Warriors 33-36, the Blazers 34-36. They also have the tiebreaker, so while the Warriors are technically only a half game behind the Blazers right now, it's more like a game and a half because they have to finish a whole game ahead of Portland in order to finish ahead of them in the standings. Warriors are currently the 10 seed. What does that mean? You might ask, if the Warriors finish the regular season as the 10 seed, or if we just say the season ended today, the Warriors would have to beat the Blazers in Portland and then beat either the Suns or the Clippers on their home floor, the Suns or Clippers home floor, just for the right to take on OKC in the first round. Yes, that is the Warriors' reality right now. So, not a good night in the Western Conference standings for the Warriors. I don't know how much of a difference it makes to you personally if the Warriors are at home against the Blazers or on the road, because regardless, whether you're the 9 seed or the 10 seed, you do still have to win 2 play-in games, and at least one of those games will be on the road, because even if you are the 9 seed and you host that 9-10 game, you win that game, you then take on the 7 or 8 game loser on their home floor. So you're going to be on the road at least for one of those games anyway. So maybe being home for Portland or being on the road in Portland doesn't make that big of a difference to you. But being in the 9-10 game does, which is where the Clippers come in. The Clippers doing battle right now in Portland, 7.5 to go in the fourth quarter, and the Clippers trailing by 8. So the Warriors might get some good news and some help from the Pelicans, which would be a bit of a surprise. If the Pelicans are to hold on, the Clippers would fall to 34-35, and the Warriors would be just a game behind the Clippers. The Clippers also, for the moment at least, have the tiebreaker over the Warriors. So I'll check in on that score from the Clippers as we move along here on Warriors Wrap-Up. We will get you the final score update, and if anything crazy happens, I've got it up here in the studio along with Lakers and the Rockets. So we'll keep you updated if there's anything important going on in those games. But really for the Warriors right now, the only thing that matters is if that Clipper game ends with a Clipper win or a Clipper loss. All right, 888-957-9570. I thought it was interesting the way the Warriors' offensive attack was just entirely different tonight. We spent a lot of time on Monday after the win in Washington discussing how they kind of went away from the three-point shot. They attempted only 32 three-point attempts on Monday in Washington. That was a season low in terms of attempts. They made just 9, tied for a season low. They didn't shoot a great number, but reason number one why they only made 9 was because they went away from that attempt and that look, and they didn't attempt a bunch of threes. They actively got into the paint over and over and over, and as a result, they scored 68 points in the paint, which was a new season high on Monday, and after today, still a season high. The Warriors today, points in the paint just 44. So 24 fewer points in the paint for the Warriors today, and those numbers aided by some garbage time points in the paint when Boston wasn't really doing a whole lot of their normal defending. The Warriors put up 43 three-pointers today, which isn't like a crazy number considering who they are, but the game got out of hand because they were shooting threes over and over and over, and they were not going in. In the first quarter, 5 for 17 from downtown, less than 30% from the field. In the first half, the Warriors put up 24 three-point attempts, and they made just 6 of them, 25% from deep in the first half. They made a couple early in the third quarter. Porzingis made one and got him back within 7 early in the third, but then Boston responded and got out to a big run. Ultimately, they pushed the lead to 21, and then they just kind of cruise anywhere around like a 17 to 21 point lead for the majority of the rest of the game, and the Warriors ultimately fall by 21. Final score 120-99. And I wonder what the strategy was for the Warriors in this game, because obviously the difference in opponent from the Wizards to the Celtics is gigantic. The Wizards, one of the worst teams in basketball. The Wizards 16-52. They've lost 13 consecutive games. The Celtics, meanwhile, are 46-23, 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 3 games in a row, and they've really been pretty darn consistent all season long, just on average winning anywhere around like 6 to 7 games out of every 10 they play. That's how good they've been basically the entire season. Specifically, after a little bit of a struggle early in the season, they've been really, really good. So there's a gigantic step up in competition, and specifically the Celtics defensively. And I would imagine the strategy for the Warriors was, well, this is a Celtics defense that makes it really difficult to create good quality looks. So whenever you have one, you take it. I would imagine that was something like that was the Warriors' game plan, as opposed to being more patient, trying to drive into the paint, get to the rim, and if you're going to shoot a three, have it come off of a drive and a kick out to an open shooter. And that was the Warriors' plan on Monday versus Washington. That clearly was not their plan today. Now, how much of that is the Warriors actively saying, I'm going to shoot this three as opposed to drive? Or is it Boston taking away certain things that Washington simply was just unable to take away because they're not a good basketball team and they're not really that interested in winning games right now either. So I understand fully that there's probably this Boston half to this conversation that is absolutely having an impact on the Warriors' offensive plan in this game today, but it was a very, very, very stark difference between how the Warriors' offense attacked on Monday and how they attacked today. And you look at who the Warriors had out there shooting their threes tonight, and it kind of leaves you at times being like, all right, well, do you expect these guys to make threes on a consistent basis? GP2 put up 3, missed all of them. He's been great, but that's still not what his shot really is. Melton is unable to hit the broadside of a barn from the outside right now. He was so good on Monday getting into the paint. He just left the three-point line entirely, got to the paint and scored, I believe it was 27 points, all of them inside the arc, and the majority of them right around the rim. Porzingis was not good from downtown. I mentioned that one he made early in the third. He missed his other 6. He was 1 for 7. Draymond, who is probably one of the guys at the top of the list that you would say, no, I don't trust him to make his threes. He was the only Warrior, other than Pat Spencer, who made just 2 of 3. But Draymond took 7 and made 3 of them. You'll take that from Draymond. But this, right now, in my opinion, is a Warrior group that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence in terms of, all right, there's a 3. Do you expect that guy to make it? I just don't have that kind of confidence in this team specifically as a three-point shooting team. What is interesting is the Celtics employ a very similar strategy as the Warriors. They put up as many threes as possible, and tonight's game, Warriors versus Celtics, the 2 teams in the NBA that take the most three-pointers per game. Now, what's different is you look at the Celtics, and even if the shot quality is relatively similar, and I think it was for the most part tonight, the Warriors, their issue is not creating good looks. Now, some of the reason why they're creating good looks, even against good defenses like tonight, is because the Celtics or whoever they're playing don't feel like they have to go out all the way to the three-point line and defend someone like a Draymond Green or defend someone like a GP2. They're beginning to rethink their thought process on Guy Santos because he's been really good shooting the basketball for the last 2 months now. He was 0 for 4 from downtown today, and he didn't have a good shooting game from Porzingis. He was 4 for 13 from the field and 2 for 7 from downtown. So that is part of it. But largely, the shot quality the Warriors and Celtics got tonight were pretty even. The difference is, all right, who do you trust to make their open threes? Do you trust Sam Hauser or do you trust Guy Santos? Well, it's nothing against Guy, but Sam Hauser is a bit more proven three-point shooter. Do you trust Jason Tatum or do you trust DeAnthony Melton? I'm going to take Tatum. Do you trust Jaylen Brown or Podziemski? Jaylen Brown's not the best three-point shooter, and if you were watching on NBC Sports Bay Area, you probably heard Fitz and Buki on the broadcast talk about, well, give Jaylen the three, as in Jaylen Brown. It's less because he's a bad three-point shooter. He's not. It's just probably the weaker part of his game because he's so good at driving and scoring around the rim and in the mid-range that kind of by process of elimination, you want to give him those threes, and he was only 1 for 4. Derek White was only 1 for 5, but he scares me from downtown. Then off the bench, Peyton Pritchard absolutely should terrify you from downtown. That is a roster that is full of shooters that you should fear. And it makes sense, in my opinion, why that is the Celtics strategy, because they have so many really good shooters. Now, if you're also the Warriors and you're trying to play this maybe mathematically, and you're trying to figure out, all right, what's the likeliest scenario that we beat this Celtics team in Boston when we're down Steph and we're down Jimmy and we're down Al and we're down Moses Moody, right? I mean, 3 of those 4 guys are great shooters in Steph and in Al and in Moses. And I feel pretty comfortable calling Moses, I mean, great maybe is a little strong, but he's been great this year. Is it going to be who he is for the rest of his career? We shall see. But honestly, on a pretty high number of attempts, I think Moses has been pretty good from downtown. So this is an entirely different Warrior team when they're down those guys, because those are quality shooters that you just don't have access to right now. So it changes the calculus a bit. I understand that. But what is the way in which the Warriors come into this game tonight, down who they're down, and walk away victorious? Maybe the most plausible way is you just catch fire from downtown. I saw it mentioned on Twitter a couple of times, and it's like, can we please just have a magnet where you got a magnet in the rim attracting the ball, and you just luck into making a bunch of threes? Like, can the Warriors just have that kind of game? Creating good looks, but, your so-so shooters make them at a really high clip that night. Can you luck into a night like that? That probably was, the Warriors' one path to winning this game, was put up a bunch of threes, and you just happen to make a bunch of them that night. And so I don't really mind that being the strategy on a one-off game like this where you're down so many key guys and you're on the road against one of the best teams in the NBA, and you just say, all right, we're like, Doctor Strange battling Thanos in Infinity War, and he's ran through all the simulations in his head, and he's found one way to win. One way for the Avengers to win, right? And maybe Steve Kerr and the Warriors coaching staff, they ran through all the simulations, and their one way to win tonight was put up 50 threes and pray we make 25 of them. And if that happens, then you probably win. If it doesn't, you probably lose. But any other strategy you employ, you're probably also going to lose as well. So I don't mean this as oh my God, if you just changed your strategy tonight, you would have won. I'm a little more concerned about it as a macro view, a season-long view, specifically when Steph's out and when Al Horford is out and when Moses Moody is out. But tonight, I mean, you're up against Boston. You're down who you're down. You're on the road. You probably weren't going to win this game anyway, right? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes from here going forward. And, of course, it can change when Steph Curry comes back and when Moses comes back and when Al comes back. I think the Moses Moody injury, by the way, is something that we're not bringing up often enough in terms of how big of an impact that's had on the Warriors, a negative impact without him playing. He's had some issues specifically defensively in terms of guarding like the opposing team's best guard or wing. I don't think he's the quickest defensively, laterally, and he gets blown by pretty often, but there's no doubt that he does a lot of the small things well defensively, and having a 40% three-point shooter on pretty good volume, a high number of attempts per game, that's hard to replace in today's NBA as well. So the Warriors are nowhere near whole, and it looked that way against these Celtics. Final score 120-99 is the final score as the Dubs fall to 33 and 36. By the way, a check in New Orleans, and we do not yet have a final, but we might as well because the Clippers are down by 15 points with a minute left. The Clippers are going to lose. So that is good news for the Warriors. The Dubs get some major help from the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's bring up this box score and see how this one played out. The Clippers obviously are trying to stay in the top 8 so that they could get 2 chances to win just one play-in game to go to the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard went down a couple of games ago with what looked like a kind of a nasty ankle injury in that loss to the Kings the other day. But he's back and he's playing, so no big deal there for Kawhi. He did miss one game. He had not played since he went down with that injury on Saturday. But he's back and playing in this game. Played 29 minutes, scored 25 points on 9 of 12 shooting, had 8 rebounds. Looked like he was pretty darn good, but not a lot of help from the others for the Clippers. And for New Orleans, let's see, it was the Saddiq Bey show. 25 points for Saddiq Bey. Trey Murphy III made 4 threes, scored 23 points. So the Pelicans are going to beat the Clippers, and that is good for the Warriors. It's also good for the Blazers, by the way. The bad news for the Warriors is the Blazers did win, which means the Blazers are now the 9 seed. The Warriors are the 10. But with the Clippers' loss, the Warriors just 1 game behind the Clippers for the 8 seed. So it goes Clippers at 34 and 35 as the 8, the Blazers at 34 and 36 as the 9, and the Warriors at 33 and 36 as the 10. 1 game separating those 3 teams. Clippers, then a half game behind the Blazers, then a half game behind that are the Warriors. That is 8, 9, and 10 in the Western Conference right now. All right. This is Warriors Wrap-Up. Mark Randy with you here on 95.7 The Game. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr, who addressed the media postgame. That's coming up in a little bit. Plus, we do have, I think, some good news that did not have to do with the game tonight on the Warriors front. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. But right now, out to the phones we go. Again, at 888-957-9570. Once again, 888-957-9570. Chardol is in Fremont and wants to weigh in. What's up, Chardol? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hey, Mark Randy. I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, 95.7 The Game. I tune into every time after Warriors game. As the Boston Celtics take down the Golden State Warriors 120-99, I think we got outplayed. We got out-hustled by this impressive Celtics squad consisting of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Nehemiah Queta. I think we could have clearly won this game, but the Celtics are just a really good basketball team. They just fire on all cylinders every single night. But it was great calling to Warriors Wrap-Up, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Chardol. You as well. One thing I love of what you say every time, Chardol, is how you love my YouTube channel. I wish this was my YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, it's the 95.7 The Game YouTube channel. I could only dream of having 122,000 subscribers on YouTube. Shout out to every single one of you who subscribe to us on YouTube at 957 The Game. But I can't take any of that credit, Chardol. This is our YouTube channel, 95.7 The Game, where you can find all of our content if you are more digitally inclined as opposed to the medium of radio. But yeah, I mean, this was a game where I don't know if I would say the Celtics out-hustled the Warriors. Frankly, I think the Warriors showed a good amount of fight and a good amount of hustle, and the fact that it was a 7-point game relatively early in the third, one of my major takeaways or reasons was the Warriors were playing really hard. And, I mean, how many times have we been through this in the reverse? And maybe not to this extreme, but you're going up against a team that is, at least close to your level. You think the game's going to be competitive. You don't expect to blow them out, and maybe you're a slight underdog, but you think it's going to be a competitive basketball game. And then you find out, whether it's a late scratch or it happens a couple of hours before tip, you find out that the opposing team's best player or players are out. How many times has that resulted in the Warriors kind of sleepwalking through games and losing as a result, or at the very least needing some kind of fourth quarter or second half comeback to win that game? It's gotten to a point where Steve Kerr has openly and very publicly said on multiple occasions, I hate when opposing teams' best players miss games versus us, because it's the natural instinct, I think, of humans, of competitors, of players, of athletes, when that happens, to kind of be like, oh, no Giannis tonight? No Giannis tonight? Okay, we can kind of take our foot off the gas just a little bit. We don't have to go quite as hard, don't have to try quite as hard to win this basketball game, because the Bucks are without Giannis. And who are the Bucks without Giannis? I mean, honestly, the Bucks with Giannis this year have been average at best. So what are the Bucks without Giannis? And that's what got the Warriors in trouble in Milwaukee early in the season. Ryan Rollins dominated and led the Bucks to a win in that game. It happened in the Warriors' very next game. It was not a back-to-back, but it happened the next game in Indiana. It wasn't a surprise that there was no Halliburton, because he's been out for the whole season after he tore his ACL the final day of the season last year, Game 7 of the NBA Finals against the Thunder. But they were also down a number of other key players as well, and that kind of happened just before tip. And it was the same exact phenomenon that happened to the Warriors on that day. So, like, that kind of thing happens where you go into a game and your opponent, who maybe it's one that you kind of circle when the season begins, right? Every time an opponent plays Steph and the Warriors, it's still kind of a big deal, even though it doesn't carry the same weight in terms of who the Warriors are as it once did. It's still a big deal. Like, did you notice today was an ESPN game? Did you notice the game in New York versus the Knicks was also a national television game? Like, that's the reason why, is because the Warriors still hold a lot of, they still have a lot of cachet in the league, and Stephen Curry specifically does. So when a player of Steph's stature is out, and you can also include, Horford and in New York versus the Knicks, Porzingis, and to a lesser degree, right, players like a Melton who missed the game versus the Knicks, and Moody's not quite on that level. But you get my point. Kind of the natural instinct is, when you are going up against a team that is, at least a competitive basketball team, but then suddenly they miss their best player, or their two best players, or three of their four best players, your instinct is to kind of naturally let off the gas. What's interesting is I didn't see that from the beginning of this game, because Jaylen Brown got off to such a great start, scored 19 points in the first quarter, was 8 for 9 from the field, was doing whatever he wanted on offense. And then one of the changes the Warriors made was, all right, we're going to put Draymond on him more often. And Draymond limited him a little bit. Now, he still got to 32 points. I thought Draymond did a decent job on him, specifically in the second quarter. In the second quarter, Jaylen Brown only scored 4 points, and they were all from the free throw line. He was 0 for 4 from the field, after in the first quarter, he was 8 for 9 from the field. And I think a part of that was Draymond Green. But it wasn't the beginning of the game that was the issue at times for Boston. It was stretches like late second quarter and early third quarter, where the Warriors cut a 20-point deficit to just a 7-point deficit. But again, when you are playing against a team that is severely injured and severely shorthanded, it is kind of natural to have those moments where maybe you let your foot off the gas. The opposing team forces a couple of turnovers. They get a 3 to go. They get an and one, right? Offensive rebound put back, just because you're not quite as locked in. Maybe you're a little lazy. You're not willing to put your body on the line on every possession, because you can probably survive without that. So kind of naturally, the opposing team gets back into it. Now, some of that is what Boston is doing, but a lot of it is the Warriors being there to take advantage of it in the first place. And again, I think to get back to what our caller Chardol said, I don't think it was because the Celtics just out-hustled the Warriors in this game. Frankly, I thought the Warriors did a pretty good job in terms of their heart and their grit and their fight and their, effort in general in this game. That only gets you so far when you're so out-talented and you can't buy a bucket from the outside. That's not going to be a reason that you win by itself, but it's going to be a reason why maybe you didn't lose by 30, or you were only down 7 in the third instead of being down by 20. So I don't know. I don't think the Warriors got out-hustled in this game. But again, when that's one of the few things you can turn to, that kind of tells you the reality of what the situation was. And this was a situation where you got absolutely outclassed. The Celtics are just a better basketball team. And give a ton of credit to Joe Mazzulla. I mean, if I had a Coach of the Year vote, which I do not, I'm probably giving it to Joe Mazzulla or Mitch Johnson of the Spurs. Those are number 1 and number 2 in my mind, because the Celtics are probably the favorite in the East, and no one was really considering them as a possibility to win a championship. And the Spurs, I think most people thought were going to be a playoff team, but not the second best team in the West behind only the OKC Thunder, and are one of the best teams in the entire league. So a couple of really good stories in Boston and in San Antonio, and I'm thoroughly impressed by what Boston is doing, because they're doing things that the new CBA is forcing them to do, and they're saying, you know what, we'll just get better everywhere else on the margins, and we're still going to be a really, really, really good basketball team, and they've found a way to kind of perfect that. That's what the season has been for the Boston Celtics. Okay, let's go to a break. When we come back, more time for your calls and your texts at 888-957-9570. I do want to give you some good news, because if you missed this earlier today, you're going to want to hear it. It is related to Steph Curry and his potential return to the floor for the Golden State Warriors. You're going to want to hear this. Plus, we will hear from Steve Kerr postgame in Boston as the Warriors fall 120-99. The Warriors now 33-36, 1-2 on the 6-game trip. 3 more games coming up next. And they are down to the 10 seed in the West because the Blazers beat the Pacers in Indiana tonight. If the season ended now, it would be Warriors, Blazers in Portland in the 9-10 play-in game. If you win, you play another play-in game. If you win that, you get OKC. So not great in terms of the night around the NBA for the Warriors. More on that and a whole lot more as we continue. It's Mark Randy with you. Back with more next on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Neuropathy is a debilitating condition that is sometimes misdiagnosed. Symptoms can include pain, numbness, and tingling in your hands, legs, and feet. Neuropathy is a progressive condition that only worsens unless you get effective treatment. SF Bay Wellness is a leader in neuropathy reversal and uses FDA-cleared, non-invasive electric cell therapy to restore nerve function with no injections, no drugs, and no surgery. The treatments have a 95% success rate. If distance is a factor, ask about our virtual consultation option. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE for the $99 neuropathy evaluation and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Don't wait another day. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE. Why keep suffering with the painful symptoms of neuropathy? You deserve to live a pain-free life. Start getting the treatment you need for your neuropathy symptoms. Call today.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it. Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, so when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it's time to make an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the ones you'll actually move into and call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
DQ presents the Spicy Menu. For a limited time, try the new Flamethrower Chicken Strip Basket for $6.99 with spicy, bold strips that heat you up. Served with a side of famous DQ soft serve as a dip to cool you down. That's right, dip those spicy chicken strips right into soft serve, plus fries and toast, all for just $6.99. And add a new pineapple lemonade sparkler or cooler made with tahini. It's the limited time only Spicy Menu. Get it delivered in the DQ app. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary.
Hey, it's Willard. On Saturday, March 28th, Habas Law is covering the adoption fees for every dog and cat at the San Jose Animal Care Center. Right now, wonderful dogs and cats are waiting, some for weeks, some for months, for someone just like you. If you've been thinking about bringing a pet into your life, this is your moment. Join Habas Law and the San Jose Animal Care Center from 10 to 4 at 2750 Monterey Road in San Jose. Come meet your new best friend. Give a loving animal the second chance it deserves. For details, visit the San Jose Animal Care Center website.
Hey, it's your boy Guru. When it comes to pest control, don't guess. Go online and get the facts with Atco Pest Control. Atco is a family-owned local company that's been protecting the Bay Area homes for over 40 years. And quality service does not have to come at a crazy price tag. If you're dealing with ants, spiders, rodents, or anything crawling where it should not be, visit AtcoPest.com. That's ATCO Pest.com to learn more and schedule service today. Atco's got you covered.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-708-5977. 800-708-5977. 800-708-5977.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now it's time for the closer of the week. Presented by LiftMaster and R&S Doors. Turn your garage into the envy of the neighborhood. Visit rsdoors.com.
This week's closer comes from Tyler from San Francisco. Alejandro and Salvador came to fix our gate, and they were 10 out of 10. They fixed our issue super fast and were awesome to deal with.
Recently, my garage door opener was not working. I was in need of a closer. I was put in touch with R&S Doors, and they hooked me up with a brand new garage door opener from LiftMaster. With LiftMaster's MyQ connectivity, my garage door opener can be controlled right from my smartphone. You'll know when a door or gate has been left open and can close it with a tap, no matter where I am. Be one of the first 10 callers and receive 20% off a LiftMaster garage door opener.
Call 1-800-FIX-A-DOOR. That's 800-FIX-A-DOOR. Or visit rsdoors.com. R&S Doors. Look for the red truck.
If you own a small business, the pressure never lets up. Something's always coming at you. That's why business owners turn to LendSeek for funding.
I don't need promises. I need options. LendSeek's AI platform showed me real funding choices. Now I can cover payroll, handle taxes, and go after growth opportunities without the daily stress.
Up to $5 million with funding in as fast as 24 hours. No upfront costs. No prepayment penalties. Start ready, stay ready. LendSeek.com. LENDSEEK.com.
Coming inside is Gonzalez. His floater no good. Tip no good. Ball loose. Grabbed by Leones. Leones bounce pass over to Nate Williams. Back lob and a jam. And it was nasty by Will Richard. Coming up high, throwing it down hard. And he got fouled on the play.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
It's go time from 95.7 The Game out of the University of Oregon. Make some noise for Mark Grandy.
Puts a smile on my face after a rough Warrior game. 120-99, the final in Boston in favor of the Celtics. That, of course, the great Franco Finn hype man for the Warriors at Chase Center, of course, at Oracle as well back in the day. Always fun to hear that. But a rough Warrior game tonight. Again, they fall 120-99. Not a ton to talk about from this game. Honestly, that's the kind of game that it was. I do want to address something that came in on the Boxer and Gerstein Work Injury Attorneys text line, and you're always welcome to join the conversation there or over the phone lines. It's the same number. Either call or text 888-957-9570. You can also chime in on YouTube, youtube.com/957 The Game, streaming live there on YouTube. If you want to watch your radio, you can do it there as well. I saw a comment that came in earlier. I forget who it was. I apologize. Someone was asking me about the shirt I'm wearing because they saw that it's an Arsenal shirt, and they asked if I'm an Arsenal fan. Indeed, I am. Go Gunners. We got a big win the other day to advance in the Champions League. But you can see the shirt. You can say hi. You can do whatever you want on the YouTube chat if you want to join in on the conversation. Again, there, youtube.com/957 The Game. The text I wanted to get to, again, 888-957-9570. This is a great question, and it's probably the number one thing that matters right now for the Warriors in terms of stuff that's happening on the floor until Steph comes back, until Horford and Moody come back and all that. This question comes courtesy of the 925. The 925 asks, didn't get to catch the game. How did KP look? Of course, KP is Kristaps Porzingis. How did he look? In terms of results, it wasn't great tonight. He didn't make a lot of shots. He was 4 for 13 from the field, 2 for 7 from downtown, only got to the line 4 times and made just one of them. So he had an off shooting night. I still think you can see the impact that he makes, and it's not that difficult to see it. And what I mean by Porzingis being like the most, valuable thing to keep an eye on, like in terms of what the Warriors are hoping to see in games right now, I think priority number one is just to give Porzingis every opportunity he has, he can possibly get to prove who he can be as a player going forward. That means, one, playing him as often as is like medically allowed, both in terms of the number of games and however many minutes that he can play in games. And the other night on Monday in Washington, he played 26 minutes. I don't think that was the Warriors' plan, but he played 26 because he was so good in the fourth quarter. He scored 12 points in the fourth quarter, and he scored 12 of the Warriors' 14 during a certain stretch. And you're not going to take him off the floor in a competitive game when he's scoring at that level. So he got bumped all the way up to 26. I think it's great news that he played those 26 minutes, which were the most minutes he's played in a really, really long time, and was able to play today. That might sound like a minor victory to you, but that's kind of what the Warriors are looking for right now, is just consistent minor victories. And I think him playing 26 minutes the other night and playing tonight is a minor victory. Overall, he had 11 points, 4 of 13 shooting, 2 of 7 from deep, 1 of 4 from the free throw line, as I mentioned, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Those blocks came on the same possession. It was the first defensive possession of the game, by the way. And then he ran the floor on the other end, drew a foul, got to the line, missed a couple of free throws, unfortunately, but it was a really good sequence, a block. And then in the scrum for the loose ball, Keita, the big man for the Celtics, got the ball, and then Porzingis blocked him as well, and then ran down the floor and kind of got the dump-off pass as a trailer into the paint and got fouled. That was a really good sequence. He had a great play where it was an assist of his to Draymond. This was early second quarter where I forget who was the ball handler, but they brought Porzingis up to set a screen. It might have been Pajemski. Maybe it was Melton. I'd have to go back and find it exactly. It doesn't really matter. The point is you use Porzingis as a screener to get the smaller man who was guarding the ball handler switched on to KP. So the Warriors do that. They get Derek White switched on to Porzingis, and there's a gigantic height difference there. We're talking about like almost a foot in terms of height difference. And what happens immediately then is KP kind of fronts White, tries to back him down into the paint. They throw the nice entry pass into him, and it's a pretty easy entry pass because, again, there's almost a foot of difference between Porzingis and Derek White. Not quite a foot. White is, not like 6'3". He's definitely taller than that, but we're talking about like 9 inches of difference between Porzingis and Derek White. They throw it into him as he has the much shorter guy on him, and what do the Celtics immediately do? And this is kind of the story of the game for the Celtics defensively versus Porzingis, and it's a big reason why he was just 4 for 13 from the field. The Warriors sought out that mismatch with Derek White on him and immediately brought the double team. And Porzingis was on, I believe it was like kind of the right side of the post, right side of the paint near the right block. And Draymond's man was guarding him on the left block because Draymond was in the left corner. So that man on the left block who was guarding Draymond comes over to double team Porzingis on the right side of the lane to help out Derek White. And as that happens, 2 people on the Warriors notice it. The 2 most important people, the guy who has the ball, Porzingis, and the guy whose man just left him in the left corner, Draymond. And they show a connection, or just frankly, it's a pretty simple basketball concept. When you get double teamed, that means someone else is open, and it's on that somebody else to recognize it and cut to make themselves available to the ball handler. And Porzingis, at times, I think he has maybe right now where he's not pressing, but he's eager to like show what he can do offensively. He at times can maybe hold on to the ball a bit too long. And one thing that stood out on this play early in the second quarter was he saw the double team come as he faced up on Derek White, saw the double team coming. Draymond saw it as well. Draymond immediately cuts baseline. Porzingis with his head up, sees it, makes a great pass to Draymond, and he has an easy layup. And that was honestly one of the more encouraging plays I saw from Porzingis. So tonight was a night where you had to look a little, you had to try to find a little bit more positives in order to find them. They didn't immediately jump out on you as they did on Monday, because on Monday he scored 30 points and had 12 in the fourth quarter, and the Warriors absolutely lose that game. Absolutely lose that game without him. but he wasn't bad today by any means. I think there's still more. You still saw some more positives from Porzingis where you say, all right, that's going to work. That's going to work in a Steph offense. That's going to work as long as the guy is available. It's going to fit. And I know so many people are talking about, well, the number one priority for the Warriors now is you got to see Steph with Porzingis. And I'm not going to tell you I don't want to see it. I'm just going to tell you, like, if there's any question about if it's going to work, I don't think there is. It's going to work. Like, Steph and Porzingis have to work together. They are like a match made in heaven in terms of basketball players, offensive basketball players. It is going to work. Would I rather see it before this season ends and the Warriors have to make a decision on Porzingis this offseason? Yeah, of course. But do I have any doubt that it's not going to work? No, it's going to work. The big question is Porzingis' health. But the availability of Steph doesn't really impact that to me. So do I want Steph to come back, and do I want to see Steph and KP right now? Yes, absolutely I do. And maybe that connection results in 2 play-in game wins, and maybe they take a game or 2 off of OKC or San Antonio. Like, of course I want to see that. But in terms of, we have to see if Steph and Kristaps work together. Like, I don't need to see that, frankly. Like, I know it's going to work. The question is Porzingis' availability and if the Warriors decide they want to bring Porzingis back next year. One thing I can say is that was the plan. The plan was to acquire Porzingis and then re-sign him for next season. You don't believe me? Listen to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr was on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday on this very station, and they asked him about the plan with Porzingis, and here's what Steve Kerr had to say.
I think the whole point in trading for him, a couple of weeks back was we get the end of this season to make a run, to see what he can do, see what we can do with him, and pair him with Steph. And, then he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, but he's our guy, and we get to show him what we have to offer him, and we get to know each other. And I think ideally for everybody, he would re-sign and come back healthy and be an important player for us for many years.
Ideally, he would re-sign and be an important player for us for many years. That's the plan. Now, obviously, the ideally is predicated on him playing and playing well, but I think at least recently we are headed down that track. So that's the Warriors' vision, and I think they're probably going to come to that conclusion whether or not we see a lot of Porzingis with Steph the rest of this season. Now, with that in mind, I do think we are going to see a decent amount of Porzingis and Steph. Before I get to that, let's hear from Steve Kerr speaking tonight, because I want to get to this, make sure he didn't say anything crazy that's going to light the Warrior fan base on fire again. Let's listen to Steve Kerr. We'll react to that, and then I'll share with you why I think we're going to see a decent amount of Steph and Porzingis going forward. Okay, here's Steve Kerr post-game tonight in Boston as the Dubs fall 120-99. Here is the coach of the Dubs.
What happened after that?
Well, they made a couple threes, got it back to 12-13, whatever it was, and we never really were quite in the game. I thought we did a lot of things well offensively, got a lot of good looks. It just was a night where shots didn't go down. I think we've got to be a lot better defensively. Some game plan mistakes early. A lot of fouling at the beginning of the third quarter got us in trouble. And what I'm most interested in right now is, can we prepare ourselves for the play-in? We're going to be in the play-in. We know that, and one way or the other. So we got to prepare. We have to be prepared for when we get guys back, when Steph's back and Moses and Al. If we're prepared when they get back, we can do some damage. We can go on a run, but we can't have game plan mistakes. We've got to build better habits, boxing out, taking care of the ball in transition, being more efficient in transition, that sort of thing. Our guys are playing hard. I'm really proud of them. Like I said, shots didn't go tonight, but what I'm most interested in is our process, and I thought it was lacking in some areas tonight, and we got to tighten some things up.
Tonight might not have been the best example, but do you feel like in the past few weeks you guys have been taking steps toward getting prepared for the playing?
One step forward, one step back. I don't think we're there yet. I think it's going to take more than what we're showing right now. I think our guys are playing hard. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't have the firepower that we're missing right now, because it kind of feels like you have to be perfect. And it's a hard thing to play through 48 minutes where you don't have the shot making, the explosiveness to go on a huge run. So you're constantly having to do the right thing. So if we handle this the right way and we sharpen those things up, we can be finely tuned for the play-in. But like I said, the effort's there, but the execution's not yet.
How much have you kind of openly discussed that idea that, the play-in with your guys, and then also, is it an odd situation to be in, with more than a month ago, basically in the season, but you've known for a while, like, you maybe not know exactly what seed,
right,
but you kind of know you're not going down and not really going far enough.
Yeah, I mean, we've had our eyes on 6 for a while, and that's out of the question now. I mean, we're not getting there. And so if we can string together some wins, try to get to 8, that'd be ideal, get 2 cracks at it. But we're not getting to 7. We know that. So I've been talking about this theme, not in such precise words like I just used, but over the last few weeks, I've been telling the guys we have to build our habits and be ready for when we get guys healthy again, and because then we can just really have the firepower that can be complemented by a foundation of good habits, good fundamentals. And so, like I said, I think there's a lot of stuff we can improve upon. But at the base of all that is your spirit, energy, confidence, and we got to work on that too.
What does building good habits look like, both on the court and also in preparation?
What does it mean?
What does it look like?
What does it look like? It means boxing out. It means don't give up back cuts. We gave up like 3 back cuts early on after we had a shoot around this morning, going through those very actions, and we completely messed up coverages 3 times in the first quarter. Cannot do that. Cannot happen. You want to win a playoff game, you better be locked in. So lock in. And part of locking in is not just the mental part of it, but it's the spiritual part. It's the emotion. How ready are you? How confident are you? How together are you? And it's, like I said, it's easy when you're beaten up. It's easy to kind of hang your head. We just can't hang our head. We've got to keep plugging away.
Should fatigue sort of factor at 30 game performance? How that factor in?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Coach, you mentioned about like getting prepared for play-in. Obviously, like Steph has a lot of experience of playing games. When he returns back, do you have a little bit of high expectations towards the team and how he can guide your players more in the mental perspective of being locked in, like you mentioned about?
My expectations when Steph comes back?
Yeah, and also like how he's able to guide his players, especially in the play-in tournaments where he has plenty of experiences back then.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Steph. I can tell you that. And I know he's going to come back and do his thing. He's been doing this for too long. He's in great shape and working hard. He'll be fine. It's a matter of, again, being prepared for his return, Al's return, Moses. Being prepared for that time is everything for us.
Coach, what do you want to say about Ömer Yurtseven's performance, and is there any hope you are going to keep him? And also, tomorrow is last day of Ramadan. Do you have any message for Ramadan?
Yeah. I'm a fan of Ömer's. He's a really nice player. He's talented. He's a good passer. He can shoot the ball a little bit. Big, strong. He's had some success in the NBA. We've only had him for a few days, but I'm enjoying every day watching him and seeing him with our guys. And I wish everybody a happy end of Ramadan tomorrow. It's this is a strange time in our world with a lot going on, and so wishing everybody health. And
if you keep him, you have 80 million Turkish follower next year.
80 million?
If
we keep him. Yeah. Okay. You need to tell Mike Dunleavy that, okay? All right. Thank you very mumuch.
Thanks, Steve.
You guys here shortly.
All right, that was Steve Kerr post game. A couple questions at the end about Omer Yurtseven. Steve is very good about making every question asked feel like a good one. The question was, what do you think of Omer Yurtseven's performance tonight? He played 5 minutes of garbage time. I don't know how you're supposed to evaluate that, but I'm mostly poking fun. Overall, a few things interesting that Steve Kerr said. He off the jump, off the rip, talked about how we're going to be a play-in team. I don't think I've heard Steve publicly in front of the media, in front of microphones say that. It's obvious. We've known it for quite a long time, but it means something else for Steve to say it. He said he's been talking in those terms to the team for a couple of weeks now, which makes sense. We can all read the standings and how many games are left and what the opponents are. So makes sense, but interesting to hear it out in public. Steve Kerr also said that the 7 seed is out of the question, which is also, again, we can read the standings. That makes perfect sense. The Warriors right now are 6 games behind the Suns, and after today's game, the Warriors have just 13 games left. So in order to catch the Phoenix Suns, you'd have to make up 6 games in 13 days. That is nearly impossible. Let's just say you go 13-0 in order to make up 6 games. The Suns would have to go 7-6. The Suns just have to win, 7 games to send it to a tiebreaker. And I think the Warriors might actually have the tiebreaker over Phoenix. Not that it's going to matter, but you get my point. I know the Warriors have beaten the Suns a couple of times. You get my point. The point is that it's not going to happen. The 7 is out of the picture, and the Warriors are also talking that way in the locker room, behind closed doors, at practices, at walkthroughs. The Warriors will be the 8, the 9, or the 10. Feels like right now the 9 or the 10 is more likely. They're a game behind the Clippers, who are the 8, and they're a half game behind the Blazers, who are the 9. That switch from the 9 to the 10 happened tonight with the Warriors' loss and the Blazers' win. Of course, if you're the 8, as Steve Kerr mentioned, you have 2 chances to win 1 play-in game to go to the playoffs. If you're the 9 or the 10, you have to win 2 do-or-die play-in games to go to the playoffs. So the difference in being the 8 or below is a big deal. The difference in being the 9 or the 10 is you get to host that first play-in game. If you're the 9, you have to go on the road if you're the 10. So that's important, but it's not nearly as important as the difference between 8 and 9. Because, again, if you're the 8, you have 2 chances to win 1 to advance to the playoffs. If you're the 9 or the 10, you have to win 2 do-or-die play-in games in order to go to the playoffs. So interesting that Steve Kerr is publicly admitting that now. He also said that right now, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier in terms of the Warriors have like a freedom right now to where they don't have to worry a ton about winning basketball games. Of course you want to, and you're trying as hard as you can, but Steve Kerr was talking about how like our goal right now, or what we're trying to do, is just build good habits for when we get healthy and when we hopefully get into a postseason series, we're playing better basketball as a result. Like the goal right now, he said, is obviously you're trying to win games. And he talked about how they were not buttoned up enough and the game plan wasn't good enough and the execution wasn't good enough tonight. You have to be perfect against this kind of Boston team. But he said from a larger perspective, the game plan, the goal is to just build good habits. And the Warriors are kind of in this awkward space where they have the freedom to be able to focus on something like that, as opposed to focusing purely on just winning a basketball game. Of course, they're competitors, and they try to win. If you heard what Steve Kerr said to Willard and Dibbs yesterday about responding to a fan who said they have no shot to win a playoff series, so why are we even caring about the rest of the regular season? Steve Kerr took major offense to that. And he essentially said, like, what are we even doing here? In fact, I'll let you hear it. So a caller on Steiny and Goo yesterday called in and essentially said Steph can come back, Steph cannot come back, it doesn't matter, they're not beating anybody, so what's the point? And Steve Kerr responded to that idea, that thought. Here's Steve Kerr yesterday with Willard and Dibbs.
What is the point of what we're doing? It's competition. We're playing to compete and to go and see what we can do and give ourselves a chance. Like, I don't understand the concept of, you know what, I don't think we can beat any of these teams, so let's just not try to win. Like, what is that? That makes no sense to me. Are we advocating to tank and get in the lottery? Is that, I mean, give me a thought. Give me the counter to hey, Let's go compete and do what we've trained to do our entire lives and compete and give ourselves a chance. Like, what's the point other than that? You tell me, what are we doing this for?
That's Steve Kerr yesterday with Willard and Dibbs on the idea that it's over. Why even bring Steph back? He can come back great, but even if he comes back, they're not beating anybody in the playoffs, which very well might prove to be true. But you say that around a competitor like Steve, he's not going to like it, and I guarantee you that's the same way that Steph feels, and probably a lot of people feel within the organization, but specifically within the locker room as well. All right, 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Again, that's 888-957-9570. I want to play this for you because I think this is probably the biggest news of the day for the Warriors and has nothing to do with what happened on the floor at TD Garden in Boston as the Warriors fell 120-99. Shams Charania, who covers the NBA for ESPN, was on NBA Today, one of their shows regarding NBA basketball, and had this to say today about Steph Curry's rehab from his knee injury. Here's Shams Charania on ESPN on Steph.
There is cautious optimism that Stephen Curry will return to the lineup at some point by the end of the month, and that's after I'm told he had a strong on-court workout Tuesday afternoon in Boston, starting to run, cut, move, take some slight contact like the Stephen Curry again that we know. The most important part, though, is he's not experiencing the swelling that he's had over the last several weeks or a month ago when he needed to get a PRP injection, from my understanding, due to those knee issues. So now it's about him building on this conditioning, getting more and more comfort in that knee before he's able to make the call to make it back on the court.
Okay, so Shams says there is cautious optimism that Steph will be able to return before the end of the month, which is the first time we've heard like any kind of timeline placed on Steph's return ever since he suffered a setback during the All-Star break. So that is good news. More from Steve Kerr yesterday on Steph, and he was asked why Steph's on the road trip, and here's what Steve Kerr said about Steph yesterday.
He is trending in the right direction. He's ramped up his workouts. The reason he's on the trip is because he now needs extra bodies, people to play with, and we'll be doing that over the course of this road trip over the next week, and with the hopes that he'll be able to scrimmage by the end of the trip. But it's literally day to day. Rick Celebrini's here on the trip. He's working with him every day. They went over to the arena when we got to Boston today for a workout, and so we'll just keep hoping that things continue to progress.
And that was Steve Kerr yesterday. So that workout that he mentioned that Steph underwent under the watchful eyes of Dr. Rick Celebrini was the workout that Shams was referring to, which was, a really good, strong workout. So those two pieces of information combined, first from Steve yesterday and then from Shams Charania of ESPN Today, I think there's plenty of reason to believe that Steph Curry is coming back sooner rather than later. This is where the speculation comes in, specifically on my part. I don't have inside information about this. I do think, though, that a date to circle for Stephen Curry's return is March 25th versus the Brooklyn Nets. That would be my guess. That's the first game back after this Warriors road trip. So the Warriors just played in Boston tonight. They lost 120-99. They're in Detroit Friday, back-to-back in Atlanta after that, and then in Dallas on Monday. That's the end of this 6-game trip. In Detroit Friday, in Atlanta Saturday, in Dallas Monday. Then the Warriors return home. The Nets on Wednesday, March 25th, a week from today. That is the date that I personally have kind of been circling for a bit. We'll see if that ends up being true or not. But I do think that this update from Shams and what Steve Kerr said yesterday gives us reason to believe that sooner rather than later, we will see Steph Curry back on the court. We are going to get an update from the Warriors. They have said that 10 days from the last update will be when we update Steph Curry again. Their last update was on March 11th. March 21st is Saturday. So we expect the next reevaluation from the Warriors, the official reevaluation from the Warriors, to be on Saturday when the Warriors are in Atlanta. I imagine that means he's not going to play in Atlanta, probably also not going to play in Dallas, although we shall see. But the next update from the Warriors, the official update from the Warriors, is going to be Saturday in Atlanta. And my guess would be it'll say something like he's making good progress. He's now able to scrimmage and do full on-court practices. And maybe he will be day to day from this point going forward. Or perhaps it'll be something like that. Or maybe they'll say he'll be reevaluated again in 2 days, potentially like a day or two before that Brooklyn game. We'll see the way it all plays out. But I do think we are headed definitely towards a spot where we're going to see Steph pretty soon, which means you're going to get like 10 games of Steph. At least he's going to come back with around 10 games left. If that's the case, maybe 8 or 9. Maybe he plays in 6 or 7 of them, and you get 6 or 7 games of Steph and Porzingis together. That's enough to get into a rhythm and get ready for a play-in game or 2, and who knows what happens from there on out. But I do think we are trending towards Steph returning at some point. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, and Odyssey Sports Station, always live on the free Odyssey app, and now broadcasting from the Laughing Monk Studios. A couple more things before we get on out of here tonight. Again, as the Dubs fall in Boston, 120-99. The Warriors now 33-36. They are 1-2 on this trip, as I mentioned, in Detroit Friday, in Atlanta Saturday, in Dallas on Monday to close the trip. The Warriors now 8-17 since Jimmy Butler went down. They're 6-13 in the 19 games that Steph Curry has missed, and they're 2-8 in their last 10 games. They're 33-36, and they've fallen all the way to the 10 seed in the Western Conference because victorious in Indiana today were the Portland Trail Blazers. Final score of that game was 127-119. The Blazers are now 34-36, a half game up on the Warriors. And because the Blazers, led by Denny Avdia, won 3 of the 4 games against the Warriors this season, they have the tiebreaker, which means the Warriors have to finish a full game ahead of the Blazers at the end of the regular season in order to finish ahead of them in the standings. If they finish tied, the Blazers will finish ahead of the Warriors, likely as the 9, and the Warriors would be the 10. The good news, if you're looking for it, is the Clippers lost in New Orleans today, kind of surprisingly. So the Clippers do not gain any ground on the Warriors. The Clippers 34-35, the Blazers 34-36, so a half game behind the Clippers, and the Warriors 33-36, a game behind the Clippers. So Clippers, half a game is the Blazers, another half game beyond that are the Warriors. 8, 9, and 10 is very, very jam-packed, and those 3 teams will be 8, 9, or 10 in some order. None of those teams are catching the Suns, and the Grizzlies aren't catching any of those teams either. So Clippers, Blazers, Warriors are going to be 8, 9, 10 in some order. One of those teams will be the 8, which is what all 3 are gunning for, and the other 2 will be stuck in the bottom half of the play-in and will have to win 2 play-in games just to go to the playoffs against a team like OKC in all likelihood. So not a great spot there in the 9-10 spot of the Western Conference. I do want to mention one other score, and I've been seeing some comments about this on the YouTube chat specifically, youtube.com/957thegame to join in. The Atlanta Hawks in Dallas, and the Atlanta Hawks won again. They just keep on winning. Maybe they're still going to be on their win streak when the Warriors come to town in Atlanta on Saturday. The Hawks just won again. They play in Houston on Friday. Then they have the Warriors on a back-to-back on Saturday, so we shall see. The Hawks have now won 11 games in a row, and they're only a half game out of the 6 seed in the East, and they're only a game and a half out of the 5 seed in the East. So they are 38-31 now. They have not lost since Jonathan Kuminga debuted. They're playing great basketball, and Kuminga had a crazy moment in the game today in Dallas in their win over the Mavericks, 135-120. I don't know how many of you guys saw this. Just go to social media and search Jonathan Kuminga. You'll be able to see it there. But it was the end of the third quarter. Dallas missed a shot, and Kuminga grabbed the defensive rebound, and he grabbed the rebound with like 4.5 or 5 seconds left, and he had a teammate that was streaking down the floor, and he tried to throw like a full length of the court, like football style pass for like an alley-oop or just like a quick throw down the court so his teammate could grab it and then finish it kind of in one motion. It ended up going in. So it was a full court 3-pointer by Kuminga to beat the buzzer of the third quarter, even though he was trying to pass it, and it went in. Crazy play. You can watch Kuminga's reaction afterwards because I don't think he believed what the hell just happened, and everyone on the court was so confused because no one in their right mind was thinking that was a shot attempt, which it wasn't because there were still 4.5 seconds on the clock when he released it, and it goes in with over a second left on the third quarter clock. So a really strange play. But yeah, Jonathan Kuminga with a full court heave that was supposed to be a pass that turned into a 3-point shot for Jonathan Kuminga. It was one of 2 3-pointers that he made in that game today for the Hawks in Dallas as they win their 11th in a row, 135-120. Kuminga had 16 points in 18 minutes, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists to go with a steal as well. And the Hawks, they win again, 135-120. That is the Warriors' opponent coming up in a couple of days on Saturday. The Warriors, though, first in Detroit on Friday as this incredibly difficult road trip continues. The Warriors 1-2 in their first 3 games. As I mentioned, in Detroit Friday, in Atlanta on Saturday, and in Dallas on Monday. Then they return home. Brooklyn a week from today at home. And then 9 days from now on that Friday, the Wizards in town to take on the Warriors in that one. All right. The tip-off for Friday in Detroit is at 4:30, which means Warriors Live begins at 4:30 right here on 95.7 The Game. All right, that's going to do it for Warriors Wrap-Up today. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Mark Randy signing off. Shout out to my guy Cam Williams behind the glass as the Dubs fall tonight. Again, 120-99 to the Boston Celtics. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time on 95.7 The Game.
I haven't talked to him.
We'll cancel Rick. Oh, all of a sudden now you haven't talked to him, huh?
We'll cancel Rick Bucher. Sorry,
forget Rick.
If I had PJ's phone number, but I haven't talked to PJ in